The school you went to, was it a
Country school.
Country school similar to?
A mile and a half away. The same school that my dad attended
No kidding.
when he was a boy. And of course, he attended only in the wintertime, when there wasn't any farm work to be done. And they would shovel in the coal of the big pot belly stove in the corner of the room and get it so hot in the schoolhouse that they'd have to open the windows, and then they would go out the windows. We didn't do that, but like Mike said, there was all eight grades had a recitation bench, I believe they called it, when it was your turn for your class to find out what you learned. Why, that's where you sat on this recitation.
So you and your brother then were in the same?
No. Brother was 2 years older than I.
2 years older. Okay.
I had one good friend that we started school together and went all the way through high school together. And he reminded me of that on our 50th wedding, or class reunion. What'd you say?
Wasn't he out here? Isn't he out here now?
Yeah, he lives out here.
Yeah, California.
Yeah. And walked to school most of the time when I was growing up. My brother and we would walk up through the field to my uncle's farmhouse, and well, let's see, at that time they were, 3 of their boys were going to the same school, and then we would walk down through the pasture.
Who was that?
Well, Jim and Bill and
Kine.
And Laverne. And I had an aunt as a teacher.
Huh.
Oh.
I had a cousin as a teacher.
Really?
And one other woman. It was a Methodist church right next to the school, the country school.
Huh.
And that's, of course, where we went to church and was baptized and went to Sunday school there. Let's see. Little things, I guess, that
You talked about walking to school, and then you got a pony or something?
We walked to school most of the time, summer and winter. And then I got a pony, and would house him there at a farmhouse next to the school. And that was a big time in my life, having a pony.
Yeah.
Nearly like your first car, but not.
My first car didn't come till I was 27 years old.
I know it.
But anyway, I guess not too much happened in the years at country school. We go to church socials and the like. But, then went into high school, of course. And I talked about playing baseball. Of course, we were poor too, and didn't have any spikes for shoes. And I don't know where I got the spikes, but then I tried to put them on old shoes. The soles were worn out anyway, but tried to put them on there. But that was bad.
Didn't really work.
And you couldn't walk on them after you did get them on. Played baseball. We had basketball in our school, but didn't star in either one, of course. I did pitch and played shortstop, second base, and also played softball after I got out of high school.
You had to have a good arm to pitch and play short. I mean,
Yeah, and then I played third base in softball. Yeah, I had a pretty good arm. I just pretty accurate, and
Huh.
fellow that my brother was in business with played first base, and he said, "Come on, Chuck, throw that old high hard one." Yeah, I could throw it pretty high. Although I was small, but I was
Huh.
pretty well equipped with a good arm.
Now you grew up on a farm, and
Oh, yeah.
so you had all the duties of
Oh yeah.
farm life as
Yeah,
well.
I trapped gophers. I had this pony, and my uncle had a racing cart that you see, one-horse shay carts. He gave it to me, and I used to use that pony to go out and get my traps. And I do this before school in the morning, and also in the evening when I get home. And then plus other chores that had to do, and caught a couple of skunks, and
That was an experience.
huh?
That was an experience.
Yes, yes. You could tell right away.
Really good.
Yeah. And,
Who caught who? Yes.
I just lost a trap then.
Yeah.
But we cut the claws off, the front claws, and take them to the county seat whenever my dad would go or my folks would go. Well, first we got, I think, a dime a pair, and then it finally dropped to a nickel, and then they just dropped it all together.
Huh.
Put them in salt, put them in a can, and salt them down until you took them to the courthouse and got your 10 cents a pair for them. Well, I was spending money.
Sure.
That was a big deal.
Kind of like collecting cans now, except you were collecting gopher claws.
10 cents went a little bit further than it does now, though.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sure.
A little harder to collect the gopher claws, though.
Nowadays, it is.
And we were 4.5 miles out of town. Started high school. I wasn't a straight A student, I guess, but I got through. Played first baseball and basketball, so athletic activities we had in the school. But I don't know, there wasn't too much
So,
exciting about high school, I guess.
so right after high school, you got Uncle Sam, and you connected with each other.
Well, yeah, before I got out of high school, just in my senior year, I was approached by the guys in the bank downtown and wanted me to start with them. So I spent several weekends before graduating from high school in the bank. And started there after school, of course, and it was a 8 to 4 daily deal, and firing the furnace, sweeping the floors, scrubbing the floors. I guess it was the start at $25 a month, and I finally got a raise the first year, and I got 35 the next year. And still had the same job. So promotions weren't too great. And then after 4 years, I applied in Sioux City through a concern in Omaha. Walters, I believe, was a company. And they took part of my first month's pay or first 3 months' pay or something for finding this job. And
Oh, like a placement?
a
or
replacement, yeah, a placement deal.
Oh.
And I came up to Morningside and started out at $75 a month. It was real good.
Oh.
Is that why you looked for that in the first place? I mean, you were looking to,
Well, no, I didn't
Move
think
on.
$35 a month was too great, but
yeah. Oh.
I don't know, you had beer money and you had a couple of quarters to go to a dance or...
But you weren't going to go anywhere, probably.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a chance to go back to Charter Oak to run that bank after
Oh,
I'd
really?
been in Sioux City
Huh.
for quite some time.
Really?
But then the draft came along, still wasn't married, of course, and I was so, let's see, I must have been 21 when I went to Sioux City, I suppose, something like that.
But you knew this person called Evelyn though at the time.
Yes, oh yeah. We had dated, and of course I had dated quite a few girls.
Yes, I dated quite a few girls. He
Well,
was-
Charlie, I
he
don't
was
know that we're
cute,
gonna
I'm
get into
telling you.
that too deeply.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, then the draft came along, of course I had to sign up for that, and had a very good friend, a fellow by the name of Larry Foss, who I was about one of the first fellows I'd met in Sioux City. He was a mail carrier. And so we decided to go into the Navy. So we signed up. Navy Day in October of 1941.
Huh.
So we went down and signed up in Sioux City. And we had preliminary examinations there in Sioux City. Got down there that day. There were about 17 or 18 of us that were going out of Sioux City to Des Moines. Well, they came down to me and they lost my papers, the preliminary stuff that I had done. So they said, well, why don't you just go to Des Moines anyway? They must have them down there. So I go to Des Moines, they didn't have them. So I stayed there about a week in some flea-bitten hotel. Well, as if that was. So they finally sent me home. Said, well, you might as well go home and sign up and go through the same thing all over again. Well, then I went, of course, I had no place to go. I mean, so I went back to my folks and helped them. Well, it was still corn picking time, of course, and I helped them pick corn for about a month. And I said, well, I might as well, you know, sign up again because I'm not going to avoid it anyway. So
Yeah.
I probably could have, but getting ahead of myself a little bit. A couple of years later, or thereabouts, they found my papers in the back of a file in Sioux City.
Really?
Yeah,
I'll be there.
they had fallen back behind
Oh.
a file, I guess. So I went into the service and was in there for 4 years. Didn't see any action other than having to sleep in revetments and blackouts and carry gas masks around Hawaiian Islands. Had a few flights, aircrafts, dive bombers, and came back to the States once. I spent 3 consecutive year ends out of the States.
Oh, no kidding. Really?
And,
All in Hawaii?
yeah,
Hawaii.
well, didn't think it was very good duty at the time, but it was.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
As you look back on it, it's not too bad.
But you wanted, I mean, if you're going to be in there, I wanted to get in and see some action, I guess, or what.
Sure.
Because, excuse me, I avoided the Army and enlisted in the Navy because I didn't want to sleep in some foxhole for a week at a time. If I was going to die, I'd go down on the ship or something. I couldn't swim, so.
Yeah, there was a guaranteed.
Well, that made a lot of sense.
Wait a minute, it would have been over with anyway.
You joined the Navy because you
Never
couldn't swim.
No, never couldn't swim.
Oh, by the way, MA can't swim
I
either.
can sing.
Yeah.
Why can't you?
You can't float, can you? I mean, you just can't
I did.
float. Oh, you did?
I came back to.
When was that, Chuck?
Was it recently?
I came back to Chicago to go to school. I was a banker for 4 or 5 years, and I ended up being a hydraulic specialist. So you can imagine that.
That's the military for you.
So I came back to Chicago to go to school, and they had a program where there was boxing, there was wrestling, there was swimming, you know, all the physical stuff. So came to the swimming class. I said, I can't swim. Well, you gotta jump in. We got the long pole.
What a comfort that was.
Yeah. So on December 7th, we went over for the swimming test.
1941.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
And I was about the next one up. And the word came through that they had been
Oh my
attacked on
God.
Pearl
No
Harbor.
kid.
Right away, we went back to the barracks, packed up, went to outgoing unit. And we just like that, and then all in one day. I mean, it just,
You never
So
did
it
that.
saved you
Nope.
from your swimming test. World War II saved Chuck
yeah,
From
having-
drowning.
If any good came out of it, it had been that.
I was never so glad of anything in my life.
That's great.
Talk about
And
that.
I was anxious to learn to swim, because aboard ship,
Oh, sure.
well, if you went down on board on a ship, you had to be at least 250 yards away, they said, or feet, I don't remember which yards. So. Otherwise, the suction would take it
Oh.
right down with the
I
ship.
Oh.
So, I mean, I wanted to save my life if I
Good.
possibly could.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
That's a good plan.
And then after that, I took another swimming test. I learned to float on my back.
Huh.
And the guy said, my God, fella, if you can float on your back, you should be able to turn over and swim. I turned over,
You know what?
never could.
You know, you never, well, I should.
No, I never did learn to swim, never. I suppose it was fear of water, but as a kid, we used to dam up the creek down in the pasture
Jump
and
in.
go through the mud and
Yeah.
slide in there, and,
Sure.
you know, didn't bother me at all, but it was just, apparently there was a fear of water, I guess, I don't know, but I never could learn to swim.
Oh.
I don't know, what else do you want to know?
So, well, so you're done
Navy
with the
without-
service, done with the Navy, and you come back to a place called Sioux City, Iowa, and
Yeah,
pick it up there, or what's going on then?
well, that was in 45, I guess. I went back to work January 46. And Evelyn and I were married in May of 46.
Now, Chuck, she waited all this time for you, and I've always wondered about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there must.
So did I.
I mean, was there just not much to pick from in Charter Oak, or were you just a special guy? Which was it, anyway?
Well, I thought I got the best pick.
You did, yes, you did.
Anyway, we were married in 46. Mary was born October of 47.
Where was the honeymoon? Where'd you guys go in there?
Borrowed a car from Evelyn's folks,
Oh.
and Marge and Dale, her sister and
Mhm.
husband, lived in western Nebraska, and we went western Nebraska.
No kidding, I did see, I
Out,
did.
what was the name of the town? Around
Scotts
Scotts
Bluff,
Bluff?
Scotts Bluff.
Gearing,
Gehring, and there's, some other town. Anyway,
Huh,
we went out there.
huh.
They put a bomb on the car when we left. You know, one of
a
those.
smoke bomb kind of thing.
And anyway, we came back to, well, she didn't come back to Sioux City right away because, well, we bought a house in Sioux City, and I commuted between Charter Oak and Sioux City for a while.
Oh,
Well, because Evelyn was in Charter Oak, was she?
Yeah.
shortly after you were married, you
Oh,
mean,
really?
you did that.
Oh,
Oh.
And didn't have a car till Mary got close to coming into being, and so I bought a used Plymouth coupe so I could get Evelyn to the hospital in time, which I did.
That's
somehow I felt that you did, but.
Yeah,
No,
I'm so glad.
So Mary was born in Sioux City.
yeah. Born in Sioux City.
Tell us about that day. What was that like?
Well, I don't recall too much of that. One thing I recall, it was the days of ether, of course, used in the hospital.
Well, so they used that on Evelyn, did they?
Well, I don't think it was when Mary was born, no. I think Evelyn was in for an operation of some kind.
Uh-huh.
And they called me into her room, a recovery room, and the nurse said, you just hold her hand. They were giving her a blood transfusion. And pretty soon I said, oh God, nurse, you better get somebody else in here or I'm going to be laying in bed.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
just a
if you were smelling ether, Mark,
Oh,
I mean, you could be out yourself.
You could smell it as soon as you walked in the front door.
The hospital, yeah.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
just-
And it was a horrible smell. I mean,
Oh,
just
just terrible.
horrible.
Yeah. That was
But
the
anyway,
anesthesia
Mary
days.
came home and it was a bundle of joy then.
Oh!
All right, let's get to the good stuff here, Chuck.
Now be careful, my grandchildren are gonna be watching this someday.
Talk about this person called Evelyn. What this person that you married called Evelyn Kuntz. This- Tell us about Evelyn Kuntz, this young ball of fire.
Well, I was a little jealous the night I gave her a ring. It was this time of the year too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Christmas time.
Okay.
And, God, I don't recall who, there was 2 or 3 couples of us went to Dennis to kind of a nightclub, eating place, and drink some stuff. She danced with someone else.
Oh.
Oh, that But we got over that.
Obviously. Did you
Well-
still give her the ring anyway that night?
Well,
Did
I'd
you?
already given her it.
Oh,
that same
night? Well, that Evie, she was a flirt, wasn't
Yeah.
she?
She was a dear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she sure was. Oh.
Well, if we got any good Mary stories here, I mean, there's some. I've
Good
been,
Mary stories?
yes, some things I don't know, Chuck, that I really should
Well,
know.
I can remember, wasn't too happy about it, but
Yeah, that's a kind
That's
of
a
one.
good intro.
Yeah, great intro.
Dad.
let's see, where were you? I guess you were in college, yes.
Oh.
It probably involves you.
No, I wanted before my time, Chuck.
No. But anyway, my folks were at our house on Morningside Avenue there. And we started to have a terrific snowstorm. My folks came up, they were going up with Evelyn and I to my uncle's funeral.
It wasn't with you.
No,
It was with somebody else.
and she was going to Sioux Falls.
Vermilion.
Vermilion. And they got to Elk Point, got snowed in or something, and they called us and they
From
said,
Wait,
the
she
school
didn't-
auditorium.
She didn't spend the night with this jerk, did she?
yes.
And about 80 other people who were stranded off the interstate.
What the hell's going on? The other people. Sorry, Shaw.
I was with Steve Stilley.
Who was it?
Uh-huh.
6'7",
Yeah, 6'7"
Us.
basketball star.
stood.
Oh, it was terrible. That was a
Oh.
blinding storm. We never should have left.
Yeah.
You tried to, oh yeah, you weren't happy.
Chuck, which
We
part,
never got to Vermilion either.
which
No,
part,
no,
which,
Elk Point, wasn't it?
Yeah, we
Which-
never, but we never,
yeah.
we turned around and came back the next day.
which part concerned you more, the snow or the
Steve Stud,
Or
whatever his
Steve
name was.
Stud, yeah.
Oh, he was a nice kid.
He was
Yeah.
a nice guy. I only dated nice guys.
Yeah,
Right?
we knew him from up
The
the
lake?
lake, it's where
Tell us a little bit about Bert and Mary. I'd like to know a little bit more about your folks.
Oh, yeah.
About Bert and Mary.
Oh, simple folks. Dad was very strict, very fair. Mother was
Oh,
a delightful person.
One of the sweetest persons in the whole world.
an absolute softie.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, we know
I
which
used to
person
co- I used
she
to,
takes,
I
he
just
takes after.
I used to hate coming home from service
Yeah.
because when I'd leave, she'd cry and I'd cry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just was,
Yeah.
I mean, it was tear jerking.
Yeah, it was, yeah. We'd go down, remember when we'd go down to see them? You know, long after they were retired and living in town.
Yeah.
We'd see them once a month easily, maybe more often than that. And she'd cry like she's never gonna see us again
Yeah.
when we'd leave to go home.
Yeah, she was a very sweet person.
Yeah, she really was. She didn't have an unkind word for anybody.
Now, when did they move to Oldable? They didn't move there
Oh,
until...
of course, I disagreed with my dad, but he made all the decisions. But I couldn't argue with him. I mean, if they wanted to move, they wanted to move.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
there was no way of talking them out of it.
Yeah.
They first moved to Charter Oak, and then they moved to Denison, which I thought was a good move, because they were near hospital, at their shopping
Better
facilities.
services in that town
I
for
mean, there was
older
just
people.
a little bit more to receive there.
Mhm.
But then he decided they were going to move to Oldable for some reason. Well, when they left Charter Oak, he said, they've got too much sidewalk to shovel. And I said, Dad, I said, if that's all that's bothering you, I'll hire somebody and I'll pay for it. Just stay. And when he shoveled his walks, he would shovel out on the grass about like that.
Like somebody else we know.
So he'd have someplace to shove the next snow.
Sure.
Yeah.
But,
Fastidious.
Like in the hair, yeah.
but no, he
Hmm.
well, I don't know, they called me,
They weren't there too terribly long.
they called
Too
me a
many
couple
years.
times. He was in the hospital down at Denison, and I think he had the same kind of problem I did.
With his legs.
Because they ended up amputating a couple of 3 toes,
Uh-huh.
as
I
I recall.
remember that. Yeah.
And he, as old as he was, well, he was 82, I think, when he died.
Really?
He could take his foot and bring it clear up
Really?
like this.
Really?
He lay in bed and he was in that much pain. I mean, he would just.
Huh.
Mm. No
And
kidding.
mother, of course, ended up in a nursing home.
And she wasn't well for a lot of years. She
No,
had terrible
she had,
arthritis.
She had joint problems.
Oh, she had terrible arthritis. She was